Thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about how to do the calendar practicum. But before we get started into that, what I want to do is make sure that you understand the different pieces of documentation and an assessment form that as a new activity director, you would want to fill out to make sure you put the right things on your calendar. So the first thing that we want to look at is this form right here. Oh, that's not showing up very well. Here, let me get it. Let me put it from this side. And on this form, these are all the pieces of documentation that you have to do as an activity director. And why I want to reinforce it is because every time you need to prove something, you need to have one of these pieces of documentation done so you can back up what you did during the day. And so like the first one is going to be your activity assessment. And that has to be done within 24 to 48 hours of somebody coming into your building. The next thing that has to be done within 7 to 14 days is the MDS. And that simply means that you fill out the MDS and you answer the questions. And we're going to go over that. Then if you trigger, you would have to fill out a CAT and a CAW. And that's always due on the 14th day. So you want to make sure that you know how to do that. And we're going to go over that in class. And then you will write a care plan. And then after 21 days, you will go to a care conference. And you usually will end up writing after 90 days a quarterly report. So these are all the pieces of documentation that you can refer to show what you've done. The other two pieces that you can use are your contact notes and your attendance sheets. All these things support what you did and how you did it for somebody to prove that you're giving care. So that's why documentation is so important. And that's why we have this practicum to go over to make sure you know how to do it. Okay, I hope that's helpful. And this information is in your book. So that will be helpful to you. The second thing, oh, this is on page, oh no, this one is not in your appendix. But this one is on page 9 of your appendix in your book. And I like to give this one to new activity directors because you sometimes never know what to put on that calendar, because before you can put anything on the calendar, you have to know what your people are and what they can do. And I have found this form, which is on page 9 of your appendix inside the class shell. You'll find it, you go under content and scroll down to about the third or fourth item, and it'll say appendix. You open up that appendix, and on page 9 of that appendix is this form, and it is called the Activity Needs Assessment Form. And I'm going to put it up on the thing here so you can look at it. Now, I don't expect you to be able to read this off of this holding it up here like this, but you go to page 9 in your appendix and you'll have it there. And what this does, it gives a category for every single person that you're going to be working with. And it defines what their skill is. And what I want you to do is to write their name in pencil underneath what category they fit in. And then as they change, as they improve, or as they decline, you can move them into different sections. And that immediately will tell you, oh, I've got this many people in my building who are independent. I've got this many people who don't want to come to groups. I've got this many people who have a deficit. I have this many people who have special problems. So that way, it'll very easily help you determine where you're at and what you need to do. One of the things that I like about this sheet is on the end here. Oh, I don't know. Let me hold that straight. Over here on the end, it will show you who needs English as a second language, or who is a younger person where you're going to have to do special activities for them. And then over here, it says how many people want to come to group, how many come to group and are passive, how many come to group and don't like to participate, and you need to stimulate them more. So it gives categories for each type of person you're going to be asked to serve, And this will help you determine what group they go in. And then you'll look and be able to say, oh, I should be running a lot more groups. I have a lot of people that want to come to groups. Oh, gee, I have a lot of people that don't want to come to groups, that want to do things inside the room. Maybe I better push around more activity trolleys so I can get to all those people. So that's the purpose of this form. And it's nothing that you have to worry about or do with now, but know that it's in your book. And when you get a job as an activity director, this is the form that you would want to, within the first couple of weeks, start to fill out so you know who's in your building and what level they're at. Okay, so that'll be helpful to you. Now, let's get started with the actual assignment here. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is when you're doing this assignment, turn to page, let me check it out here for you. I believe it's page 3 in your text. Yes, I want to make sure that you're on page, that you look at page 3 when you fill out the first form. So let's pull that up right now. And when you open up the assignment sheet, there are instructions on the front of all the instructions on how to do this. And you can scroll down that and read it. But the first page that you're going to see is the activity master calendar planning sheet. Now, I'm going to hold it up so you can see it, but I won't let it bounce around. Okay, so this is the activity planning sheet. Now, what this does, it allows you to be able to completely plan one whole year of activities so that you're not going to miss special things that people tell you that they want to do. And it'll help you keep organized. And at the end of the month, when we're really tired and we've got to do the budget and we've got to do a new calendar and we have to finish up documentation that got missed or that has to be redone, this is real important that you have this master planner sheet so you can look at it quickly and say, oh, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. I better make sure I call out an entertainer. Or, gee, here's some new ideas that people gave me, and that would make a good empowerment group, or that would be a good maintenance group. I'm going to get it on the calendar. Or somebody will come in and say, hey, I have these special recipes that I want to do in cooking group because these are John's favorite cookies, snickerdoodle cookies. Here's the recipe. Make sure you cook them for him in cooking group, okay? So people are going to come and give you ideas of what they want done. And this will give you a framework of what you can do and what maybe you shouldn't try to do. So anyway, this will tell me I can list then underneath cooking, oh, snickerdoodle cookies for John. And I'll have that recipe and I can take it out in a week and say, oh, let's make snickerdoodle cookies. And then when his wife comes back and asks me, did you do those snickerdoodle cookies? I can say, yeah, we did them and he enjoyed them. He ate 10. Okay. All right. So that's the purpose of that. So let's go over this form just real briefly. But now remember, have your book open to page 3 because remember, the things that we have to get on this calendar have 3 categories. They are maintenance groups, they are your empowerment groups, and they are your one-on-ones, your special support groups. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do right here is on this section, and what we want to do here is we want to list down, here's all the months, and we want to list what special event are we going to do. So you want to go down there and list what special event. So in January, you may have a New Year's Day party, or in February, you might have Black History Month that you're going to celebrate. Or in May, you're going to have Mother's Day, and June, Father's Day. The only month that doesn't really have a holiday is August. And in August, you know, people usually like to do Western Country Days, have a band come in, or they'll have a Hawaiian luau and decorate and have a special party out in the garden or something. So the reason I want you to fill this out is so we have to have special events to normalize and continue traditional holidays, or make sure that we have special holidays. So if you have a large Hispanic group, you might want to do a Cinco de Mayo day. which is on May 5th. So you want to get that on the calendar so you remember to do it. And then over here, I always put entertainers that I want to call. And as I look at this list, I want to tell you right now, if you want to book a party for St. Patrick's Day, you better call 2 months in advance to get a band to come in or to get an entertainer to come in because they get snapped up right away. So that's why I like to fill this out and have the information ready for me to just, oh, we're going to have a party. I better call and make sure I can get an entertainer in before that party. Okay. You can always put on a tape or, a CD or something, but sometimes it's nice to have live entertainment for our special parties. Then the next thing over here that we have are our daily features. Now, when you put in daily features, what this really refers to is you want to put in your maintenance groups. So what are your maintenance groups? If you look on page 3, and we've got them all listed out, maintenance groups. That's sensory STEM, 2 to 3 of them a week, one-on-one sessions. So I got to make sure I schedule. I'm going to go around and do one-on-one sessions, and that usually takes a lot of time. So I make sure I want to get that on the calendar and give it a specific time and a specific day that I can go around and do some of these things. The next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I have 5 senses. I have a memory recall group. So that could be a trivia game. I want to make sure that I have exercise 2 to 3 times a week. And exercise is very important, as we talked about in As the Body Ages. Exercise is extremely important. And so you might want to have a gentle move Tai Chi. You might want to have a yoga stretch. You might want to have modified sports, chair exercises with music, without music. You want to put in all these options that you want to give people, and you want to list them on your maintenance section here. So maybe I'll have exercise on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Or maybe I'll have 4 times a week. Or maybe I'll have it on Saturday. Remember, when we're filling out these calendars, even though we're not there, we have to make sure that there are groups and that we have Saturday and Sunday filled. So sometimes exercise group on a Saturday, Sunday, where if you're not there, a volunteer can come in and lead it, or one of the aides can come in and lead it. So it's important. We have to have exercise, even though we're not there 7 days a week, we have to have a program planned 7 days a week. That is a federal guideline, which we are all subject to. Okay, let me see if I can turn a little bit more light on here. Okay, that will help a little bit, I think. All right. Then the next line over here that we want to fill out is, so your maintenance groups will go over here, and I have some of them listed out for you. And then for your daily features over here, I'm sorry, I misspoke. For your daily features over here, we want to put in our empowerment groups. So that simply means your cookie groups. You might have cooking 2 times a week. You might have it on a Sunday afternoon. That's a normal thing that people do on a Sunday afternoon. Or maybe you're going to get cognitive games on a Sunday afternoon. So something for people to do that not as strenuous, but you can have volunteers come in and call a bingo game, or you can have people play cards, have the cards set out, or the puzzle set out, so that people have something to do on a Sunday afternoon. All right. So some of the other empowerment groups that we have are music. You probably will want to have that twice a week, whether you put it on, whether you're playing your ukulele for them, or whether you're have somebody come in and play music. Entertainers are kind of expensive, but there's no reason that you can't put on a tape and sing along with it. There's no reason that you can't play part of a tape and then have people guess what that song is. So there's lots of things that we can do with that, or see if they recall the lyrics of the song, or do a history on the music of that song. That's very popular too. Pick one artist, and whether it's Perry Como, Frank Sinatra, or YouTube, or the Beatles, doesn't matter. Just talk about music and play some of that music. That'll be a very enjoyable session for your people. Then literature. I have lots of people that like to have book discussions. I have people that like to do poetry writing, and I put the poetry stuff up in the building. If they write a good poetry, I enlarge it. We put it on the calendars, on the back of the calendars. Okay, cooking and crafts, and there's all kinds of crafts, and we've gone over this. You go back and look at the videos. of the different craft groups that I've done, and they'll give you lots of ideas for what you can do for craft. So you want to make sure that you've got that on a couple times each week. And then every once in a while, at least once or twice a month, you want to have like an adult education or a speaker come in or current events. I would suggest that you are there to monitor the current events so people don't argue and get into political battles. Okay. So let's be careful with that one and make sure that you're there to monitor that one. But education, anything, as you remember, an empowerment group is anything where people are allowed to have self expression. And they need that to self identify themselves or to project who they are. So these are very important groups. And then, of course, you're going to want to have community outings. And if you don't have a bus, just getting people out in the garden and going for a walk will help satisfy that. Or a short walk around in your neighborhood for people who are stable enough to walk, or have you push them in the wheelchair. But of course, you want to do your country drives, you want to have lunches out. Also, this includes inviting the community to come in. So if you had somebody who says, I want to have a Bible group, and you can close off your private dining room for a certain hour, have the men's Bible group come over from one of the residence facilities and meet there while they're in the facility. That's perfectly okay to do. If somebody wants to play bridge and they need a quiet private area, close up the private dining room if it hasn't been scheduled and let them play in there so they have normalization of who they are. And then, of course, we have all our church groups, Bible studies, travel logs, discussion groups, cultural events, family meetings, family gatherings where they want to have special parties. So you want to make sure that you've got spots on here for that. And you also want to make sure that if you're going to do cooking, make sure you do cooking every Tuesday and Saturday or every Wednesday and Thursday. Get it in a pattern so the residents know when the bingo games are, when the cooking is, when the art groups are, when the discussion groups are, when the exercise groups are. Get this all on a routine schedule so that people know, oh, at this hour is exercise. I'm going to go down today. Or no, it's not today. Oh, yeah, we always do that on Saturday. Okay. So that gives the staff and the residents and the family members who want to join in the group a specific time when you're running them so they'll know when to come to the building. So you want to make sure that you do that. Then along down here in the bottom, sometimes people will give you a community idea and you want to put that down, whether it's having the Easter Bunny come and take pictures with the Easter Bunny or Easter egg hunt, or having Santa Claus come, or a special holiday dinner, um, uh, a celebration of Hanukkah, whatever your population demands, you want to make sure that you get these things posted in here so that they can do them. If somebody says bring it and do one, they're doing a special craft. I had one person wanted tie dye, so I had to schedule that, but I scheduled it in the summertime so we could do it out in the garden so that things didn't the facility did not get messed up with dye. So all these things are important and they're fun to do. So make sure that you get them on your cheat sheet here so that you can get them on the calendar during the course of the year. And then other people will give you do ideas for themes and parties, or they may say, "Oh golly, why don't we go on this outing? Could we go down to the men's museum where they have all the machines?" And that's down in Woodburn. Or gee, I'd like to go to Salem. There's a carousel museum down there, and there's also an art museum. So find out when that's open, get on the bus, and go. So make sure that you list the outings that you want to do, including going to the beach, which is a nice one. Take a picnic to the beach. That's a good thing to do with about 5 or 7 residents. You have enough helpers and enough volunteers to do it. So those are all fun things, and it'll help you remember, because remember, at the end of the month, you're tired. So fill out this sheet, and then where you find your answers for this sheet are going to be on page 3. And if you get those things in there, your empowerment groups, your maintenance groups, and if also you want to make sure that you post in here under your maintenance, how many times are you going to do one-on-one rounds? I would say too, you also should make a note to yourself over here when you post in rounds that you're going to be delivering mail. because mail does take some time to do, and you should plan that some days it can go pretty fast, and then other days it does take more time because you remember you have to open them. You can't open the mail uh, without it being in front of them and you having permission to open the mail if they need help with their mail. So we want to be careful of all those things. And mostly, though, I want to make sure people forget to schedule rounds. Schedule around to do mail. Schedule around to do treats. Schedule around to put in to do the activity um, cart so that you can pass out crafts for people that want things in the room. If you give it a specific time that you're going to do that, it'll get done. If you don't put it on your calendar, you'll forget about it and you'll stop doing rounds, and that's when you're going to run into trouble. So you want to make sure that you have all these things listed right on your calendar. That's why doing the calendar is a very important thing to do. It's very important to have it organized. Okay, the next thing that we want to look at then, so after you've done that page, is I'm going to ask you to fill out an ideal week. And I'll hold this up a little bit straighter so it's not bouncing around. So this is the next form that you're going to see. Let's get the lighting a little bit better there. The next, whoops, the sun is moving around. Sorry, let me make that adjustment. I hope that's a little bit better. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do, we're still getting, just, I'll stop for just 1 minute. Let's readjust this, see if this will help. Oh, we still have that. Okay, that might be better. So the next thing that we're going to do then is we're going to make an ideal week. And what you want to do is start your activities at no earlier than 9:30, 9:45, because remember you're going to have to be in stand-up meeting. And so you want to maybe start your first group by 10 o'clock. By the time you round up and get everybody together and get the group started and introduce everybody, it'll be about 10 o'clock. And remember, your groups have to run on time within 15 minutes of what you posted them. And so in the morning, if you were to run 30-minute groups with maybe 5 to 7 minutes in between them, you could get 4 groups done in the morning. So maybe right after stand-up meeting, which ends about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, you're going to run around and you're going to do a round and pass out some mail, and you're going to run around and invite everybody to the group and let them know that it's going to start, and let the aides know that it's going to start. So you'll start your first group at maybe 10. And so maybe 3 times a week here, you're going to have exercise group first thing in the morning. Then maybe you're going to have chat and coffee, a sensory STEM group. And then maybe after that, 2 times a week, you might put in doing nails. And then the other time, you're going to have maybe a music group. And you're going to do an exercise group. And then you might do a sensory STEM group. Either way, you're going to space it out so that it's like every other day that these things are happening. And you're going to give it a specific day, a Tuesday or a Thursday. And then by doing 4 groups of 30 minutes, you're going to get 4 of your maintenance groups done every single day, including a sensory STEM before you let people go to lunch. Now they will come and go from these groups. So they might want to come down for the coffee, but they don't want to stay for the exercise. Well, that's perfectly fine. So they can leave and somebody else will probably be ready to get up and come down. They want to come to the exercise group. So your groups will fluctuate, but by running them at 30 minutes at a specific time with a few minutes in between to reset up the groups, you're going to be able to get 4 groups done every morning. And these should be your maintenance groups because that's when your lower level people are more alert and rested. Then you'll have a break for your lunch. And then in the afternoon, I usually in my long-term care, in my long-term care groups, I don't start them until about 1:30 or 2 o'clock. Now this is where I do a cooking group here and then maybe a cooking group over here. Or maybe on Tuesday we'll have art at 1 o'clock, or excuse me, about 1:30, 2 o'clock. And that way, these larger empowerment groups, which take more time, you can run them for 40 minutes. Or a bingo game will run for maybe 40 minutes. And I usually like to put bingo games at the end of the day because you have a lot of people that like to participate in that. But your empowerment groups usually have smaller group numbers simply because um, doing a craft group, doing a music group where people are going to participate in the music, doing a discussion group or a poetry group takes more time, and you have to allow more time for people to do their expression. And it does have a lot more setup too when you're doing a cooking group or a craft group, because you have a lot more supplies to get down and initially and initiate and start the group. But by 3:30, 4 o'clock, we pick up those groups, and then maybe you'll run a bingo game, or maybe you'll go around with the carts and you're going to pass out stuff at 4 o'clock, so that you're really off the floor by 4:30, so that you can sit down and chart. Because you remember, you've got to take attendance of who came and what they did. Sometimes I take attendance right after I run my maintenance group, and then I take it at the end of the day for my afternoon groups. That seems to be a good way of spreading it out. So what I want you to do here is look at page 3, put in everything that you need to have an ideal calendar. And remember, we're planning this for a long-term care building who is not in COVID. We don't have a pandemic. Eventually, in a couple of months, we won't have pandemics at all. So we'll be able to group up again. So plan a good calendar, a good active normal calendar. Then this I would plan for long-term care, because in assisted living, you're going to start at 9 o'clock. You have a lot less documentation to do in assisted living. And a lot of your activities run from like 9 in the morning to like 6, and sometimes in the evening too. I also want to remind you that in long-term care, you also have to have some evening activities. So once a week, you probably will say to your administrator, I usually pick a Wednesday. I would say to my administrator, I'm coming in late and I won't be at stand-up meeting because this is my late day and I have to run an evening activity. And that could be a movie, it could be wine and cheese after dinner, it could be a discussion group, it could be in the springtime getting out in the garden in the evening. But you're going to run an evening group, and you should try to run 2 evening groups. And an evening group is considered to be uh, 30 minutes after the first dinner is served. So your evening group could, if dinner served at 5, could probably start about 6 or 5:45 and run for an hour and a half or for an hour, and then you're done. Sometimes the other thing that I'll do is I'll start a movie, and sometimes I can set it up on the system so that I can start the movie and it goes into every building, every room that wants it on channel 10, or no, I'm sorry, it was channel 11, and that movie will start at 6:45. And sometimes I will leave at the nurse's station snacks. And if people want to have snacks while they're watching the movie, they can come down to the lobby, have snacks and watch the movie, or they can watch the movie in their room. So you can work it out, and it seems a little stressful for you to get all this done, but there are ways that you can plan it and get it done. But you have to make sure your administrator knows how hard you're working and what you're doing, so that he is aware. Yes, we did have 2 evening activities. One was on a Saturday and it was a movie, and the other one, and they had treats with it. And the other one was wine and cheese on Wednesday afternoon. I'll do that once a month, and then I'll have a comedy hour once a month. So you can vary it out and keep it interesting, but keep it on a schedule at a set time so that people can participate. And oh, in the wintertime, lots of times my residents just wanted to have an extra bingo game. So we ran bingo for 30 minutes after dinner, and they enjoyed that. And I was able to get home before the snow got too heavy and stuff, and the ice got too bad. So think about those things. And if you have an evening activity, I will tell you this: I think it's very fair for you to say there's a major ice storm coming, and we will not have bingo this evening. Okay. And once in a while, you can cancel things and put on a movie instead, and that's okay. You want to preserve your sanity too. Okay, next thing on this, that is an ideal. Oh, I'm having really hard time adjusting the light on this. The next thing that you want to do is I want you to design a day where you have to change. This is your ideal calendar that you've written in here. But every once in a while, you can't do everything on that ideal calendar if you have a special party going on. So I want you to design a day where you're going to have a special event and you're going to take out some of the activities that you put on your ideal calendar. So pick a day, tell me what day you picked, and say, like, oh, say Monday, special party. And then show me how you're going to change that day. And maybe at 10 o'clock, instead of having exercise, we're going to be decorating the dining room for the party. And I'll have a couple residents come in there and help me, but I probably won't invite every resident that might pull the party down. Somebody who is cognitively not aware and might start pulling out the tablecloths or something. So it's going to be invited guests that can help me decorate. And then I might run out to the other dining room and we might do an exercise group after we've got the dining room set up and the doors closed and they'll be able to pull the decorations down. Then I might go out and run an exercise group at 11 o'clock and then I'll run the party. And then I won't start anything else until maybe 2:30 in the afternoon, because after you clean up from a party and put all the decorations back, you need time for your own lunch and you need time to fall apart. So maybe that afternoon, instead of what we normally had lined up on that Tuesday, we will then do a music group, or we might do a bingo game, or we might just have a discussion group. So I want you to show me when you have a special event, you have to change it on that week, that you're going to change that week and let people know, okay, we're not having Tai Chi. We're not having exercise group. We're doing this instead because it's a special party. And that's on the second Monday of this month. So on the second Monday, when you write that calendar, you don't put up the ideal week. You put up your calendar, that you put up your thoughts or your ideas on that second Monday for that party, so that you have enough time to put on that party successfully and people can enjoy it. Another time when I want you to have privilege to change things is when you do your planning at the end of the month. So twice at the end of the month, I will kind of shorten my ideal calendar so that I can get more documentation time in. So I might run a 10 o'clock and a 10:30, and then maybe I won't run at 11 o'clock. I will go in my office and I'll do some paperwork, or I'll do a quick round and pass out something. And then I want to get back to my office so that I can have an extended lunch, have my 30-minute lunch, and then get some paperwork done. And then also on that day, maybe I'll run one group in the afternoon instead of two groups. And I'll run one at 2 o'clock. And then I'm going to go back to my office at 2:45 and I'm going to do some paperwork. Because remember, you've got to get the calendar done. You've got to get your budget done. You have to get a newsletter out, and you have to catch up on any extra paperwork that had to be changed because of a significant change, or you had a whole bunch of assessments that week for whatever reason, and you need that extra time. So at the end of the month, when you get hit with all these other responsibilities, I want you to be able to say, hey, I'm going to change a day or two on the third and the fourth week so I can get this work done. You should not be taking work home. You should be able to get it done in the 40 hours that they give you. So that is the second part of this assignment. So you have your master calendar planner, and then you have this sheet to fill out. And then, just because I need to know how you're actually doing your groups, I will have you fill out this assessment form for an activity. And in this, what we're going to do, what we're going to do is we're going to analyze the activity. So you have this form in front of you, and I'll just point to the things that we need to do in this one. So in this one, you're going to have, we talked about sensory stim and the different types of, do they need to use their body to do this? So are they aware of what their body can do? And then is it going to help them with reality orientation to understand how tools work? And then can it bring up a memory? Now, hopefully, each one of your groups will have the possibility of doing all those three things. It'll have the possibility of showing them they can use their body, whether it's their head or whether it's their hands or their legs, or it'll be a reality orientation. This is how I use this tool. This is how I use a paintbrush. This is how I use a mixer. Um, and then the last one, the highest level that our brain thinks and the highest part of stimulation that we can provide people with is when we do validation and it brings up a memory for them. And hopefully, most of the memories will be good, although sometimes we need to talk about difficult things. So, validation. So, physically, upper body or lower body, is it a modified sport? Name if it is. Does it provide creativity? How many people do you want to participate? How many people will be able to observe at this group? Because sometimes they just want to come down, they don't want to do the cooking, but they want to watch or they want to smell something, but they don't want to actively participate. So then the duration of your group and the ideal size. Because sometimes it is just better to know if you have a lot of people coming down for cooking group, it's just kind of better to know, oh, gee, I can handle 10 people at this cooking group. Maybe I better have 2 cooking sessions today. And so sometimes they will say, oh, yeah, I want to do this. Okay, well, this group is full, but we're going to do it again. And we're going to do it at 3 o'clock again. Or you may say, we're going to do it the same thing on Thursday. I can get you into the Thursday group. Now, people don't like that, but sometimes when you have a lot of people participating, you've got to break it up to make it a successful group. And for the most part, I found people to be very understanding about that because they want to enjoy the group. I say, well, you can watch this time, but I have enough people stirring and doing this and this. But Thursday, I'll make sure that you can do that. Same thing sometimes happens when we have to break up rides on the bus. People go in the morning, people go in the afternoon. Okay, then I want you to tell me what the goal of the group. Now, is it to maintain? Is it for expression? um it can, you have multiple things because people are coming down here. The people that you invite to the groups, they will have multiple different reasons why they come. So make sure you give yourself a little list of what you can accomplish in this group. Oh, I could do sequencing of tasks in this group, or I can help somebody learn how to use a tool in this group. So make sure you list why they're coming to this. Why is it important that they're there? Then list a little bit what physical, cognitive, and social skills will they need. That way you can cue people if they have deficits, or you can position them so that you can get them in the right place next to you or farther away from somebody who they're going to have a problem with, so that you can set up the group to be successful. And then you want to put the equipment and material that you need. Now, this is all your normal equipment and material that you'll need. But having looked at this, at the physical things that people are going to need, or the behavior problems that people have, that also will tell you, okay, how am I how am I going to have to adapt that equipment, or how am I going to set up the group? Is everybody going to be looking at me, or am I going to have people at individual tables, and I'm going to walk around and help? And the next thing you want to do, so that's part of setting up the group. You want to be careful that you want to make sure that you have all the adaptive equipment ahead of time too. So not just the equipment to do the cooking or the art craft, but do I have the extra adaptive equipment that I'm going to need for certain people who can't close their hands by having the enlarged tools, or having the Velcro on the bottom of the bowl so it doesn't slide away. And so you can go back and look at the activities that I showed you in I think it was about the first or second lesson, where we have all the adaptive equipment posted up in there, and we do those demonstrations. So make sure you have that. And then the last one down here is your leadership skills. This is incredibly important, simply because you want to know how you can best bring out the most positive results for the people that you have in this group. So if that means that I have to cue somebody, oh, John, don't interrupt right now. I can help you in 1 minute. Can you wait for me for 1 minute? My hands are busy at this moment, but I'll be right with you. I'm watching. I'll be with you. So you want to, use your leadership skills. And sometimes you have to use tough leadership skills and say, hey, that's not appropriate. We can't do that here. That's unsafe. You need to do this instead. Or here, try this. This might be more successful. So you want to redirect them in positive ways so you get the best results. So sometimes it's tough love, and sometimes you have to nurture, and sometimes it's just simply praising that will bring out the best in people. So make sure that you make a note of that for anybody that's going to be coming to that group that you're having a special need. So that's how you analyze your groups. And if a group isn't running well, fill out this and think it through so that the next time you run that group, you've got the equipment that you need. You've got the people sitting at the right tables who aren't going to be bothering each other, and you'll have a successful group. All right, so that takes care of that page. Now we only have one more thing that I'm going to ask you to do, and that is, when we talked about Alzheimer's calendars, we have to run out Alzheimer's calendars a little bit differently. And we have to make sure that we can break down the skills so that everybody can participate. So what I would like you to do is pick one item off of this circle of activities. These are the basic activities that most Alzheimer's can do, and they are the easiest ones to break down into different sections. So pick out 2 groups that you want to do. And then I'm going to have you fill out this form right here, Alzheimer's Activity Calendar Planning, and put the name of the activity up here. So let's say I'm going to do painting nails. And I know if I do painting nails, I have to break it down into different tasks so that my high level person can enjoy the group, my middle level person can enjoy the group, and the person that's most likely to wander off because they're so low or they will wander off and come back, I will know how to set that up for them to do. So let's say I'm doing nails and I have a high level person, and I could safely give them the nail polish remover, and they can remove their nails, the polish on their nails. And I could give them a choice of maybe 5 nail colors that they would want to use, and they could pick out which one they want. And they could start to paint their hand. And maybe they'll have maybe they paint both hands, but maybe they're going to have a little trouble painting their non-dominant hand, which is where I would jump in and help them. Now, in that same group, I'm going to have some people that are middle cognition. Now, they may be able to take off their nail polish, but they are not going to be able to paint it. And I should give them a choice of only 2 colors, not 5, because it's going to be overwhelming for them and that'll frustrate them. So I want to make sure that I give them a limited choice. And I'm going to make sure that I can help them finish painting their nails so that we get it done and they don't forget and get up and start walking around and smear their nails. So I'm going to have to keep them there at the table, have them look at a magazine while I'm painting the other hand, or make sure they have coffee that they'll sit there, enjoy, and talk to me while we're doing that. And then for my lower level person, they're going to just want to be with the group. Because painting a lady's nails or doing a man's manicure is kind of important. It makes them feel good about themselves. So this has great value for everybody in the group, but I have to break it down into levels that people can do. So on this one, I'm going to give this person coffee and a magazine to look at. And I'm going to tap their hand to make sure that they know that I know that they're there. And I'm going to talk to them while we're there. And then I'll maybe in only one session, I'll be able to get the nail polish removed, because they'll walk up and they'll move around. And then the next time that I'm doing nails, I have their nails clean and ready and filed and ready to go. I might be able to get some nail polish on them. So those are your objectives. And when you break everything down to a task, you can have more people be successful. Now, they are going to wander in and out. That happens. But that's okay, because you've set them up for what they can do successfully. And then if you can't finish it all at that time, you finish it at the next session or next Tuesday when you do finish doing nails. But usually, if I don't have somebody's nails finished, one of the aides will say, and they'll say, "Oh, I can do that other nail. I can finish her nails for her. I'll do it after dinner tonight." So, when you work in a team, it really does work out well. Now, again, you might want to do a ball game. So pick two things out of the circle of life. Show me one activity up here and show the different levels that you're going to present it at, and then pick another group and show that. So maybe I'll pick dancing and music. So maybe I'll have somebody who can name the tune and pick out records. And maybe with this group, they just want to stand up and dance, and then they'll wander around. So the middle level, or they'll start to sing the song, but they don't know all the song, but they want to be with people. But they'll wander off and they'll come back. And then the last group, I may have to do wheelchair dancing with them, or I might hold their hand and cue them about the music or ask them if they enjoy the music. So some people will get up and dance and be able to do it and pick out the music and talk about the music. Other people are going to be a little bit more limited and they'll dance a little bit, but they'll forget about it. Then they'll come back to the group. It's perfectly fine. And then these folks, I might have to cue and tap a little bit more. One big thing that I can tell you about working with Alzheimer's people to help you with this is that they're going to fall into three levels. And the person who is just started into Alzheimer's, they they are able to talk to you, the leader, and to converse with a person on either side of them. Boy, I don't like what she's doing. Do you like what she's doing? Why are we doing this? So they'll ask me what we're doing, and I'll explain it. Do you like what we're doing? I don't like what we're doing. I mean, they can converse. They have no filters, but they can converse with three people at one time or in a small group. And they're very comfortable doing this. And if they don't like it, they're going to get up and walk away. Okay, now your person at the middle level, they are only going to be able to converse with one person at a time. So you have to focus with them. You have to talk directly to them. You have to set out the equipment that they're going to use right in front of them on their own little tray, and that will help keep people from taking other people's stuff. Uh, it it doesn't completely stop that, but it will help with it. And so they can do one-on-one very well still. And now my lowest level person, they are very placid. And usually I have to touch their hand or their face or their shoulder or get actually put their hand in position for them with a hand over hand technique so that they can draw or write their name or even feed themselves with the hand over hand. Their hand is on top, so they think they're doing it, but I'm actually guiding them in and out so they can complete the task. So they need a lot of tactile, they need a lot of reassurance and positive reinforcement, and a lot of one-on-one to get them through it. So that will help you determine which group they're actually in. So they're going to be high level, they can converse with three people and they don't get too frustrated with too much overstimulation. The middle group, they can do basically one person, one thing at a time, one task at a time, and they should not be overstimulated. Otherwise, they'll get frustrated and possibly angry. So we want to watch for that. And then on my lower level person, I really need to help them through it. I really need to stimulate them mentally, physically, tactily, um, verbally, sound, uh, and just be gentle and nurturing with them so that they feel positively reinforced. So that is your calendar assignment. If you have questions or concerns about it, please call me, email me, and I will go through this on a private Zoom session with you so that you understand it and can get it done. So don't delay. If you open up that assignment and you say, oh, gee, I really don't remember this, give me a call. Let's work on it together. I want you to be successful, and I'll do anything I can to help you be successful. But you got to let me know that you need help. Okay? So Make sure that you do look at the videos, all the videos that are in the lesson. If you want to look at more videos, you can go to Activity Director, the best you can be. It's on YouTube, and there's probably about 31 different videos that you can watch. I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing and meeting you in class and helping you in any way that I can so that you can be the best activity professional walking. Because remember, someday I may be in your building and you'll have to help me. Okay? All right. Bye bye. We'll talk to you at the next session.